Dolly Parton is gone. At 80 years old, one of the most recognized voices in American music history has left us. A woman who built an entire world out of rhinestones, raw honesty, and songs that felt like they were written just for you. She gave us decades of music, decades of laughter, and a generosity toward others that most people never manage in a lifetime. But before she
You
died,
want to call it that look. Did people really get the wrong idea in the sense that they didn't know that beneath that look there is maybe one of the smartest women around?
Well, I certainly got hit on a lot, and a lot of men thought I was as silly as I looked, I guess. You know, I look like a woman, but I think like a man, and in this world of business, that has helped me a lot, because by the time they think...
Dolly left behind a story that connects her to another legendary name, Elvis Presley. A story about one song, one impossible decision, and the moment a young woman from Tennessee had to look in the direction of the biggest star on earth and say, "Numb." By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what Elvis wanted from Dolly Parton, why she refused, and how that single decision shaped one of the most famous songs ever written. The song at the center of all this is "I Will Always Love You." Dolly wrote it in 1973, and the origin of it was not glamorous. It was painful. She wrote it as a farewell to Porter Wagoner, her mentor and professional partner, when she made the decision to leave his show and strike out on her own. The song was her way of saying goodbye without burning everything down. It was tender and grateful and heartbreaking all at once. It worked. The song became one of Dolly's signature compositions almost immediately. This was years, nearly 2 decades, before Whitney Houston touched it. Dolly's version stood on its own. It was hers, and the world knew it. Then came 1974. A phone call, a conversation, and a name that changed the entire situation. Elvis Presley wanted to record "I Will Always Love You." Think about what that meant at that moment in time. Elvis was not just a famous musician. He was a force of nature. He was culture itself, walking around in a white jumpsuit. For a songwriter, hearing that Elvis wanted your song was the kind of news that made your hands shake. It meant exposure on a scale that was almost impossible to imagine. It meant your words coming out of the most famous mouth in music. Dolly has said she adored Elvis. She has described him as one of the greatest performers to ever live. So when word came that he wanted to sing her song, her first reaction was exactly what you would expect. She was thrilled. And then the catch arrived. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, laid out the business side of things. If Elvis was going to record the song, Dolly would need to hand over a share of the songwriting and publishing rights. This was not unusual for how Colonel Parker operated. He had structured similar arrangements around other songs Elvis recorded. But for Dolly, it was not something she could agree to. This was no longer just about the honor of having Elvis sing her words. This was about who owned the song. Publishing rights are where the long-term money lives in the music business. Every time a song gets played on the radio, used in a film, covered by another artist, or streamed on a platform, the person who holds the publishing rights earns from it, signing away a share of that, especially on a song she had written from her own pain about her own life, was a different kind of ask entirely. Dolly has been open about how hard the decision was. She has said she cried after turning Elvis down. She has said it hurt. People around her reportedly thought she had lost her mind. You do not say no to Elvis Presley. That was the understanding. You just do not do it. But she did. Her own words on the matter are worth sitting with. She has said, "I would have given anything for him to have cut that song, but I wouldn't give up the rights." That sentence carries everything. The love for Elvis, the love for the song, and the understanding that some things cannot be traded away, no matter who is doing the asking. Now, something worth making clear here. The demand for publishing rights did not come from Elvis personally. It came through Colonel Parker, his management. Whether Elvis himself knew the specific details of what was being asked of Dolly, or whether he simply left the business side entirely to his manager, is not something the record shows. The real conflict was between Dolly's ownership and the business structure that surrounded an Elvis recording. That distinction matters. Consider what might have happened if she had said yes. Elvis records "I Will Always Love You" in the mid-1970s. Dolly gets the association, the recognition, the spotlight, but she gives up a piece of the song's financial future. Then in 1992, Whitney Houston covers the song for the film The Bodyguard. Whitney's version becomes one of the best-selling singles ever recorded, selling over 20 million copies worldwide according to Billboard. Every one of those sales, every stream, every license, every use of that song in every corner of the world flows back in part to Dolly because she kept her rights. If she had signed them away in 1974, that picture looks very different. There is one more piece to this story, and it adds a layer that is almost too personal to process. Dolly has said that Priscilla Presley told her that when Elvis and Priscilla left the courthouse after their divorce, Elvis sang, "I Will Always Love You" to her. Not a recording, not a performance. Just Elvis, singing Dolly's words to the woman he was saying goodbye to. He never recorded the song officially, but according to Priscilla's account, he sang it at one of the most emotional moments of his life. Dolly said no to his recording deal, and yet the song found its way to him anyway, in private, in a moment no microphone captured. She is gone now. Dolly Parton can no longer sit down in front of a camera and tell this story herself, but she told it enough times that it lives on, through her interviews, through Priscilla's memory, through the song itself. One decision, made by a young woman who cried over it and stood firm anyway. And because of that decision, "I Will Always Love You" became exactly what it is today. If Dolly had said yes to Elvis in 1974, would Whitney Houston's version have ever happened the way it did? Would the song we know today even exist? That question has no answer now. But the fact that we are still asking it is its own kind of answer.